Hey everybody, John from PSI here with your next video in our FAQ swap series. Today's question is, hey John, how do I integrate your engine harness with my chassis harness? It's a great question. Why don't we talk about that? So before we get into the PSI engine and transmission harnesses, our standalone harnesses, let's talk about wiring in general and keeping your wires straight. So whether it's Christina Patina, which is a 1990 OBS Chevy, or it's your 72 Chevelle, or your 55 Chevy, it doesn't matter. You're going to keep these types of functions, your chassis and your engine transmission functions, separate. And I'll get into the reasons for that. But let's talk about your chassis wiring. What is it? It's going to be your lights. It's going to be the wiring for your starter. It's going to be the wiring for your stereo system and the wiring for your interior. Now that could be the original harness that came with the car, which I don't advise you continue to use if it's 70 years old, or it could be an upgraded chassis harness like something from American Autowire. Then you have your engine and transmission harness. This is your standalone wiring. This is what PSI has designed and developed for the last 20, 25 years. We are experts in this industry, and we have intentionally created our harnesses to be modular this way. So the engine and transmission harness, what is it? It's your inputs and your outputs. It's your injectors, which is obviously an output. It's inputs like your MAF sensor, your MAP sensor, your O2 sensors, other types of sensors on the vehicle, engine coolant temp. And also your wiring for your gauges and for the shifting of your transmission if you're using electronic automatic. Now the reason we keep these separate, as you can see from this black dotted line, is because let's say down the road you're upgrading your stereo system, or let's say you did keep that 70-year-old chassis harness in your 55 Chevy, but you wanted to upgrade it to an American Autowire harness. You don't have to go tearing into the engine and transmission standalone harness in order to do that. You could keep the vehicle running, you know everything's working on that end, and then you just focus on the chassis side of things. Could you imagine if you had both of these integrated together? What kind of nightmare that would be if you had an issue with your heater? It would be a giant pain in the butt, and you wouldn't want to be dealing with it. So keep in mind, we're keeping these separate. Standalone harness, engine and transmission, chassis harness, lights, interior, those types of things. Now you're going to ask me, well, why is this a dotted line and is this not a solid line? And that's another great question. And the reason is because there is some crossover between the two. And that's where the whole 4-wire harness idea comes from. You have your constant power, you have your switched power, which is key on and cranking power, and then you have a couple grounds. That is the only integration between the two. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. And remember, wire it up and fire it up.